Istris. Row 9 from Iran, Badia Buramund and Jan Melacek. And completing the top 20, Largim Ali and Lucas Dunner. Okay, if you were in any doubt as to whether you should be putting on wet tyres, the shot on our screen now tells you it's a no-brainer. So, off on the formation lap, let's see how we go. Well, on our screen at the moment, you've got confirmation that Dylan Boyce led at the red lap previously, but we shall be starting from scratch with a 0 lap for the formation lap and opening the first lap as the guys qualified from the qualifying heats yesterday. So Axel Charpentier back onto pole, and Dylan Boyce, despite his good drive for 1.5 laps, goes back to the 4th row. By way of a wet race situation, I promise you this is quite good racing conditions, because with everybody on wets, it's by no means a torrential situation. We're not splashing lots of water up, as you can see from the racing tarmac, and a sort of dryish racing line is likely to emerge. Those pictures really tell the story, but without a shadow of a doubt, the officials declaring it a wet race are making the only decision they possibly could. So on to the second of the formation laps. When we're racing, it's a 13-lap pre-final. What's at stake? Well, positions in the grand final. Simple as that. And in the grand final, if you've not already got a ticket to the Rotax Max Challenge World Finals, you can get your ticket to the World Finals by finishing in the top 2 in this class and the other 2 classes in the finals. So guaranteed support for the top 2 people. Already we've got people in this class who've qualified for the World Finals. Axel Charpentier, Ollie Caldwell, Mark Kimber in Ps 1, 2 and 3, and others further down the grid as well. So more options open. Very, very nice facility here at Adria. The only little thing I might say is it's all concrete in the middle. We don't have any grassy infield, which often looks nice. But I guess safety is paramount where you've got an even surface from where you race, and for if you're unlucky enough to leave the track. Bottom right is the only grass that we have. This is just to the right of the chicane, where we go left, right, that leads us onto the home straight for our start. So as I peer out of the window, everybody of the 30 starters is here. Let's go racing. Here we go. Well, it's not a very even start. Axel Charpentier all on his own, in effect, out at the start, but Ollie Caldwell not losing too much in the way of shall we say, opportunities to get away. Oh, somebody away very, very slowly, and somebody hardly away at all. Kart number 21, Hannes Morin. Hannes Morin, who was starting in P10 on the 5th row. It's gone wrong for him, and it's gone wrong for the driver who was in 2nd place, which was Ollie Caldwell. And I think he's dropped back to about 4th now. And he just wobbled off the tarmac onto the rumble strip. Axel Charpentier is the driver who's taking advantage. Well, not so much taking advantage as handling the conditions. Mark Kimber in 2nd place. And when I said that we'll be in for a safe, wet race, I do believe now that whereas the paddock at the back of us is very, very, very wet, that circuit is still looking very tricky to negotiate. This is going to be a very slow lap, and the drivers on the wet tyres may be struggling nearly as much as they were initially on the dry tyres. Coming round to complete a slow opening lap, let's give you the call over with Axel Charpentier in front of Mark Kimber, Henry Kubides 3rd, Ollie Caldwell 4th after falling back from 2nd place. Dylan Boyce went through in 5th place, Ollie Caldwell 4th, Dylan Boyce in 5th, Laszlo Toth in 6th place, Padana Minang 7th, Jarbo Baldijar 8th, Matilda Olsen, the first of our 2 Swedish girls, she's in 9th place, and Joel Altonen completing the top 10. I have to say the drivers are immensely widely spread out for saying that We're only on 1.5 laps of a 13-lap race, but at least we keep going. At 1.5 laps previously, the red flag came out. Well, I do have sympathy for these guys. It's obviously not an easy circuit to negotiate, and it's even harder to race. It may well be that with this being a pre-final, a rather cautious, conservative driving policy will be the strategy for some of the guys. Axel Charpentier coming down to complete lap 2. Mark Kimber still in second, and Henry Kubidi still in third, and there was no change of position at all on the top 10 laps, the top 10 positions, but just outside the top 10, Lucas Dunner of Austria moved up to 11th at the expense of Dutchman Pepin Krivelt, who dropped down to 12th. Matteo Kaprzic went through to 13th. Andre Volta climbed up to 14th, and that relegated Valtes Zviedris of Latvia down to 15th place. Just looking down, one or two of the drivers who were driving well at the first attempt, Badia Buramand of Iran has dropped out of the top 20 completely, whereas he was in I think about 14th or 15th position when we stopped previously. The time on that opening lap was 69 seconds. At the first attempt to run it on slicks, it was 71 seconds. So we're still, about 18 seconds slower than we would have been in the ordinary situation of slicks on a dry track. The lap that we've just completed a little bit quicker, but not a lot, 68.7. And again, the 1, 2 and 3 are as they were on lap 2, but Dylan Boyce of Netherlands has gone past Ollie Caldwell and up into 4th place. So the driver in kart 74 is doing what he's been doing for most of yesterday and the first attempt to run this race, which was passing the drivers in front of him. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now is Charpentier 1, Kimber 2, Kubidis 3, Boyce 4 and Caldwell 5. Outside of the top 5 have got some changes. Laszlo Toth is still 6, but Jabo Boldijar, fellow Hungarian, now up to 7th. Padana Minang running 8th, Joel Altonen 9th, and Matilda Olsson, the girl from Sweden, or one of the two girls from Sweden, she's in the top 10 at number 10. Just outside the top 10, Lucas Dunner. Hugo Anderson, who had gone well in the preliminaries here and started on the 3rd row, is down in 17th place. Barry Buramand of Iran, who was outside of the top 20, has now climbed up into 19th place. This is lap 5, and there's no change of position at the end of the lap, but since we've started the new lap, Dylan Boyce has gone past Henry Kubides. So your 1, 2 and 3 now are Axel Charpentier in the lead by 0.3 of a second, Mark Kimber in 2nd place, Dylan Boyce, the Dutchman, now in 3rd place, Henry Kubides in 4th, Ollie Caldwell in 5th place. Just at the lower order of the top 10, Matilda Olsson, the girl from Sweden, has lost her top 10 place because Lucas Dunner of Austria has gone through into 10th place now. Matilda Olsson running 11th, the lady out of the DHR awning, the Dan Holland Racing driver. Been very impressed with Matilda Olsson. She's not had good fortune yesterday in qualifying heats, and it actually her results didn't properly represent how well she'd driven. So I'm keeping half an eye on Matilda to get a decent result in the pre-final, but at the moment she's out of the top 10. Well, Dylan Boyce confirmed at the end of lap 5 as being the 3rd place driver, the top 5 staying as they were previously. Axel Charpentier 1, Mark Kimber 2, Dylan Boyce 3, Henry Kubides 4, Ollie Caldwell 5, and then some climbers and some fallers. Jabo Boldijar of Hungary is up to 6, Joel Altonen of Finland is up to 7th, Laszlo Toth of Hungary is down to 8th, Padana Minang of Indonesia is down to 9th, and yet another change for the 10th place. It's now the Dutchman Pepin Krivelt holding 10th place. Lucas Dunner, who was 10th previously, falling to 11th. Pepin Krivelt of Netherlands then, making it 2 Dutchmen in the top 10 because Dylan Boyce is running in 3rd place. This is lap 6 of 13, so we're not yet at the half race distance. And I'm just going to look away from all of the screens and look out of the window. Well, the track now, if you just took a snapshot of what I'm seeing, you would say that's a dry track. The quickest time we've had so far is 67.9 by Axel Charpentier, and I think that's reflecting not the state of the track but the fact that they've got wet tyres, because I believe now, if we were starting the race now and giving drivers the option, that slicks might well have been the answer, because one or two of the drivers are getting themselves in almost dry conditions slick tyre racing mode. But the times, well, 15 seconds slower than we would have had with slicks on a dry tarmac base. On lap 6, everybody was in the same position as previously up to the first 7, but Perdana Minang from Sumatra has moved up into 8th place, while Laszlo Toth of Hungary fell down to 9th place. Pepin Krivelt still running 10th. On lap 6, that was the only change of position in the top 20. Hugo Anderson, who started on the 3rd row, still struggling to make the top 10, only running 16th at the moment. So, Axel Charpentier, Mark Kimber, Dylan Boyce, Henry Kubides, Ollie Caldwell remain the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are now into the second half of the race, because this is lap 8 of a 13-lap junior pre-final. No change of position in the top 8 on the previous lap, but we've got some climbers and a serious faller. The serious faller is Laszlo Toth of Hungary, who's dropped right out of the top 10 down to 13th. Climbing up to 9th now is Pepin Krivelt of Netherlands. Up to 10th, Lucas Dunner. And just outside the top 10 now is Valters Viedris from Latvia, running in 11th place. But Laszlo Toth of Hungary needing to stop the rot, so to speak. And Hugo Anderson, who was in P5 on row 3, loses a place to 17th, one of our expected front runners. The top 3 that you're looking at, you can see from our screens, are well clear of everyone else. But having said that, decent little scrap between themselves, because the difference between Axel Charpentier and Mark Kimber is only 0.3 of a second, and it's even closer with Dylan Boyce in 3rd place. And the fact that we're on wet tyres makes that time difference even narrower in reality. Just going to try and watch, and there goes the move. Yes, that's Dylan Boyce. Is that getting himself into 2nd place? It went wide, didn't he? He's not consummated it. Made the attempt, but again another effort. So Axel Charpentier has got all of the pressure off now, because the cushion is really quite wide, and Dylan Boyce and Mark Kimber have finally settled their little mid-race dispute, with the result that the immediate situation is that Dylan Boyce is now the guy chasing after Axel Charpentier. They're coming round to complete lap 9. Axel will increase his lead because of that passing move. His lead is now 0.87 of a second, and Dylan Boyce already kicked a long way past Mark Kimber, and our close running front 3 are now rather more spread out front 3. Oh, and Dylan going very much adrift there. Not that he's done anything wrong, it's just indicative of the state of the circuit. Ought to give a mention to the guys behind, because 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are having a good dice. Jarbo Baldijar is 4th, Ollie Caldwell 5th, Henry Kubides 6th, and Perdana Minang in 7th place. And at one moment there, as I glanced out of the window, we'd got 3 in line, and then 2 alongside and 2 alongside behind, and they are trading places in 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, and I'm not able to keep up with that. But let me give you accurate calls where the front 3 are concerned. Axel Charpentier looked as if he was being reeled in by Dylan Boyce. That's not now the case. Axel has widened his advantage. It was 0.87, and I don't think it's going to be any less as we look now. In fact, it will be increased. Oh, it is increased to 1.1 second. Dylan Boyce still 2nd, Mark Kimber still 3rd, but then the really good racing. Ollie Caldwell has got himself back up to 4th. Perdana Minang for the first time in the race, is up into the top 5. He's 5th. Jabo Baldashar drops to 6th. Henry Kubides, the South American, who started on row 2, has fallen down to 7th place. Quite a gap then to 8th place Papin Krivelt, 8th, Lucas Dunner 9th, and Joel Aaltonen of Finland now in 10th place. I think 10th place on the circuit is the place that's had the most different drivers sitting. This is lap 11 of a 13-lap junior pre-final. Axel Charpentier now has not just got the comfort of a lead, but a lead by over a second. But look at this good dice. This is 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th we're looking at. That's Ollie Caldwell and Perdana Milang, I think, that we were seeing moments ago. And Perdana Milang having the advantage over Ollie Caldwell, coming round to complete lap 12. So we're into last lap mode, and Perdana Milang in 4th place. Just try and look back and see how far that is. Yes, Perdana Milang under pressure from Mark Kimber, from Ollie Caldwell. But, well, it looked as if there might have been a potential change, but I think unless somebody makes a big error, it won't be. Mark Kimber just getting himself a little bit wrongly placed there, but trying hard to get past Dylan Boyce. And in fact, the front-running 3, you would think that from here it's just a case of driving steadily home, but that's a lot easier said than done. And Axel Charpentier now with the shortish straight, the chicane and the home straight to come. Coming round to see the penultimate lap, the last lap board. And there it is, and the advantage in favour of Axel is 0.9 of a second, so Dylan Boyce was reeling him in at one stage, but now Dylan may well feel it's as well to try and settle for that second place, because Mark Kimber in 3rd place getting a little bit closer. And that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, there, it's the 1, 2 and 3 that you see on screen at the moment, and Mark Kimber in cart number 7 definitely got designs of going past Dylan Boyce. And there's the passing move, was it? Didn't make it, didn't quite make it. The attempted pass, has it happened this time? No, it has happened but can't be sustained. Well, you've got to hand it to these guys. They're giving it a good race in difficult conditions. Mark Kimber's in 3rd place, but it's not for the wants of trying. Has he now got the 2nd place? No, again, Dylan Boyce says, yes, you go up there, but I'll go through the big gap that you're leaving. Here's the checkered flag. Here's Axel Charpentier, and after 13 difficult laps of racing, Axel Charpentier takes the checkered flag. 4 consecutive victories in 4 races in juniors here this weekend. Dylan Boyce in 2nd place. Mark Kimber a well-worked 3rd place. Perdana Milang also drove well for 4th place. Ollie Caldwell maybe a little disappointed with 5th. Papin Krivelt went well for 6th. Jabo Baldashar 7. Henry Kubides eventually dropped to 8th, but no lower than 8th. Joel Aaltonen was 9th, and Lucas Dunner completed the top 10. So, confirmation that Axel Charpentier, the British driver for Strawberry Racing, was a race winner by 1.34 seconds over Dylan Boyce, the Dutchman of JJ Racing, and Mark Kimber coming home in 3rd place. Mark driving a Tony kart for Strawberry Racing. Commiserations to the 2 drivers we lost, which was Mikkel Tiggerson of RS Competition, the Danish driver, lost them both early on, and Jan Malacek, the Czech Republic driver for the MS kart racing team. Good driver, Jan Malacek, has gone well in the preliminaries, and that's a very, very unlucky result for Jan Malacek in the pre-final. He's going to have to start the final on the back row, but showed some good form early on. But hey, these things happen in kart.